Hi there, let's go over part one of review on chemistry. So the first thing we talked about was the particle theory, and so it wants to know a few points about the particle theory. The particles are invisible. That's one important point. The particles are constantly vibrating or moving, and heat will increase this movement. You should know about the spaces amongst particles, from solid to liquid to gas, and you should know that different substances have different particles. Next, classifying matter, which was another important part. And so let's look at matter and how we classify it. You should be able to do this. So all matter is made of mixtures and pure substances, and the difference between these two has to do with properties. Pure substances, the properties never change. So the boiling point, the melting point, they all stay the same. Whereas in mixtures, the properties will vary. So then a mixture can be broken up into heterogeneous or homogeneous. And homogeneous, it looks like one thing, but we know there are more than one thing. And this one, there are many substances, and you can see them. An example, soil. Here, example, salt water. Next, what's the difference between a compound and an element? Well, we studied the elements. In fact, we know elements can be broken up on the periodic table into three separate categories: metals, non-metals, and then metalloids. Whereas compounds are either ionic or they're molecular. And so what's the difference between these two? Compounds are two or more elements, whereas elements can't be broken down any further. Their atoms can't be broken down, so it's one kind of atom. So one atom here, two or more atoms here. Next, let's go on to the next slide. Physical change, give two examples. Well, melting, boiling, these are two physical changes. And so in a physical change, there's no new substances formed. No new substances are created. All that's happening is, and the atoms remain the same. We don't rearrange them. Okay, whereas a chemical change, we are rearranging atoms and we create new substances. And so evidence, what are some evidences? A color change, heat, either absorbed or given off. So heat or temperature change. Often we'll see a new gas produced that wasn't there before. And the other thing about this is we might see a precipitate, which is a solid. A precipitate forms. What's the difference between physical and chemical properties? Well, we talked about that above. Give two examples of quantitative. I'll do that in part 2. So that's